All right. So how a lock works? I did that video on that Metacon 3, which I did put back together, by the way. I think I actually put it back where it belongs, so I'm not gonna grab it. But what about just like your average pin tumbler lock, the one that you see on every front door in every house in the United States? Those are a little different. The concept is there. But that one was just way too complicated. Especially, like, I'm not really super used to, like, trying to, I don't know how to do a tutorial. So I gotta start out simple. So we're gonna do a quick set. I do have my key punch. I got some blanks somewhere, so we're gonna be cutting keys and doing all that kind of shit. Yeah, Metco was fun. I was really impressed by that. We're gonna be doing one thing you guys haven't seen before. Then just a quick set deadbolt. In fact, I did pick the other side on camera because it is a double-sided deadbolt. So the last one I picked on the second episode was I think I called it a quick pick or something like that. That was a quick set double-sided deadbolt. That was the back half. That was the inside half, the one where the screws go through. That's why it had holes in the back. And this one's threaded in the back, so you got the screws. Yeah. Kind of chill day at work, pretty slow. Yeah, really slow. I queued up like, I don't know, quite a few best scores, so that always makes me want to blow my fucking brains out. Just pinning, and there's so many fucking pins that go into those IC cores. Then you gotta cap them, and test the keys, and all that kind of shit. I had some good teamwork going with the coworker though, so that felt good. She was kicking ass. I was sort of noodling around and sort of like wearing out a little bit. I take a break. On Friday, today is Monday night. On Friday, I'm going to paint this place, which I will consider a vacation. I'm gonna paint it white again, but maybe a little different. So you have everything kind of set up the same, so I don't do everything all over again. So this one shouldn't take too long. Not as long as that Medico. I go straight to single pin picking. I can probably rake it if I tried. And I just kind of default go to top of the keyway. These days I don't really bother with bottom of the keyway too much. The only thing that bottom of the keyway, top of the keyway can open to, and then top of the keyway can also open with security pins. And in this case it does have security pins. I didn't even know that. The first pin's the spool. The struggle. There we go. That's nice and quick and easy, isn't it? So you got this little clip here on the back. First thing you want to do is take that clip off. That also removes the tailpiece on these quick sets. What's cool about Quickset, they're super easy to work on. They sell this tool right here, and this is really good for removing clips, and it's good for the knobs to sort of reverse the handing in a sense on a knob and everything like that. I'm gonna follow it out. There shouldn't be master keys, it's a residential deadbolt. Let me grab some keys. I forgot to grab them. They're right here though. So if I were to take a key blink and push it in, see how the pins are sitting proud in some spots? So the length of the pin determines the shear line. What you want to do is raise the pin when you're picking it, and when you insert the key, of course, the pin needs to come up just to the top, right there. And the reason why that's important is because there's something in here too. That's why you follow it out. They're called driver pins, and they're spring loaded. So that's a driver pin. That's driver pin number 1. I'll put its corresponding spring in number 1. Number 2 is a spool pin. I was kind of hoping to pick something with all standard pins. I haven't picked anything on here with all standard pins. But spool pins are just becoming more and more common. I mean, they're selling locks at Home Depot with the fucking things. It's kind of hard to get one without spool pins now. So these are the pins. So those will actually, grab some tweezers here, will actually sit like this inside of the lock because they're spring loaded and they're being forced down. That's important is because inside of here there's all the holes. So the springs go in and then the drivers go in. So the drivers are constantly being pushed, and the core's in here. So the drivers are constantly being pushed into the holes of this core. And the key pins are, excuse the pun, but are the key to opening this, because when you cut a key to the correct depth, then you can, then it lifts all the pins just perfectly right to the top and allows this plug, which the tailpiece is connected to spin and actuate the locking mechanism. If the drivers are sunk down in there, they won't be able to turn the key. If you stick the wrong key in there, then either the drivers are going to be stuck in there or the pins are going to be stuck up top, and you won't be able to rotate anything. So I have my, I move my vise real quick. And I don't believe that I have the correct spacing bar. One second. I'm back. So these particular pins are color coded, which is nice because I can guess it first try, I know exactly what the cuts are. And I can even bust out my pin kit if I'm a little unsure. So I'm going to punch out a key here. And the cuts, the higher the number, the deeper the cut. So in this case, it's going to be 6. It might be a 5. The colors are kind of worn out on the second pin, so I'm going to go ahead and check. Yeah. It's going to be 6, 5, 4, 2, 5. So lots of deep cuts up front. So you can see when I actually stick the correct key in here, all the pins line up perfectly, which means when I go to rebuild this lock, I'm just shove all the drivers back in this thing and start rebuilding it, and we'll experiment with different keys. Okay, you really need a follower to hold everything in place. Technically, you can rebuild the lock with the plug, but my God, is it a pain in the ass. The plug being this whole portion right here. You can start at the front and work your way back into it and simulate the follower. Don't ever do that. So right now, you see, I now have a working key to it. So it doesn't work. Now it works because it's lifting all the pins to the correct height. But if I were to take this and change the that 2 cut, which is the 4th chamber, into a 4 cut, or actually let's just go 1 cut difference. Let's go 1 deeper to the 3. The key no longer works. But I remember it being 65425. I'm using the right hand key punch here. It does quick set and Schleg. You just gotta change this bar. You don't need any tools to change it. And that's the pin kit I'm using to sort of, this is, the top is all Schlegs, and then this is all quick set right here. And they're slightly different, and that's the difference in space between cuts. So a Schleg, the difference in spacing is 15 thousandths of an inch. So the difference between an O cut, a 0 cut, and a 1 cut is 15 thousandths. Which is I don't remember the numbers right now. sometimes the problem with this key punch machine is that it gets bound and stuck, which is exactly what happened right here. Something's broken. It usually has to do with the spacing bar. That's always fun when I'm trying to show something and it just fucking doesn't work. I think there's an adjustment I can make to make that actually work properly. Anyways, let's keep going here. 65425 is the numbers that I'm looking for. And I might have to manually kind of push through here. And I wasted a key, which is fun. Yeah, this thing just straight up decided to break here. Looks like I'm picking it until I fix it. That's fun. You guys want to see more picking, right? Back around. So I changed the 2 cut to 3 cut. The key no longer works, and neither does my key machine. It's funny, I just did a job this morning. The thing was working gorgeous. Second the camera hits it though. Nope. Now that I know all the cuts, it's way quicker. So on the 4th chamber, which is the second one from the back, it's 5-pin lock. That guy right there, I changed the key cut from a 2 to 5. Sorry, a 2 to a 3. So all I gotta do is put a number 3 pin, which is very slightly longer than 2 pin. Pop them back in there. What do you know? Now the key works again. So all I did was I made 1 cut deeper, and all I did was I made 1 cut deeper, and that made the key not work. Then when I tried to correct it, made everything worse. But and now I have a working key to it, and hell, I'm a cheap ass. I'll even reuse this pin because I know that's 2 pin. So let's try and figure out what the fuck happened to my key punch. This is going off the rails, but I kind of like where it's going. So inside of here, you have a spacing bar. And this is what pushes this spring-loaded cam. It makes it go down to the next cut. There's a little bar. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can't give you a better close-up. So this has a hole in it. And inside of there, whenever I push the handle, it moves that little pin. And that's supposed to grab that hole. When it grabs that hole, it will push it. And then when you release the handle, it pulls it back to the next cut. Just like that. That's what that noise is. That's me. That's cycling through cuts. This is definitely. There we go. Okay, and then once it has gone through all the cuts, then it will eject the key, ready to pull it out. So this is the cassette carrier. But for some reason, that pin is not properly engaging. Where's my little dental bit? So that is linked on the bottom. Right here. Roundabout. Sorry, right here. Everything's reversed. It's that little hole right there is where that pin is located. There is an Allen screw right there. Don't quite know what it does. It's just a whole bunch of levers and all its springs and shit. Sometimes it's a little confusing to try to trace down. But I have a feeling that if I loosen that set screw is what's retaining the height of that pin. And if I loosen it and pull that pin out a little bit, it will then grab the hole in this. It typically tends to have more of a problem with Quickset than it does Schlage, and I have no idea why. Yeah, there's no discernible difference that would make one work better than the other. It's just sort of random. But I'll start by taking all the tension off of it, all the spacing bars, and let me just grab my Allen wrenches. I really hope it's not 5/64. I still haven't found that one yet. It's probably somewhere. It's probably in my truck. If I had to guess. Also, they don't make parts for this anymore. Finding parts for it is like, good luck. Let's try it. 3:30 seconds. That was loose. I don't expect it to be tight. But I don't like the fact that it is that loose. Yep. So, sorry about the noise there. You can see just how much higher that pin is sticking out now. I just sort of like loosened that on the end and I just pushed it a little deeper. I don't know what the correct depth this would need to be at a healthy position. Right now that feels like it's a little bit too high. But just cycling through it, it does feel okay. Let me try to cycle like a regular spacing bar through it. Yeah, I didn't like that. Also, it worked its way back down. So it worked its way back down in the first place because it was loose. So I feel like I'm gonna have to tighten it. That I wasn't really super comfortable. That was a little too high. And if I do it a little too high, as it'll click and cycle before it cuts the key. But it won't drop that cycle and drop it to the next cut until I release the handle. So if I click it and it pushes that bar forward and then it cuts the key, I still have a ton of range of motion, so I don't want to stick it too far down or too far in, because that could potentially lead to problems of snapping off that part. And again, they do not make parts for this anymore. What did I use last time to push it through? I used this. So if I break off that little baby pin inside of there, we're kind of fucked. And I can't remember what I used to actually push that out farther the last time. It's always frustrating. You can't remember what tools you used that made the job really, really easy. On the flip side, if I don't push it out far enough, it'll just be barely hitting on the tip, and that might cause premature wear. So I feel like there's a balance to be made here. Now I gotta figure out what fucking tool I used. What else I could use is I could just cycle it halfway and grab some tweezers and just pull it manually. I feel like that's good right there. You gotta realize it's rolling over a radius, so it will get a little taller throughout the range of motion, like so. I didn't realize this was a problem until I started recording, so I'm glad I found it. Glad I could figure it out with you guys. Yeah, I noticed it wasn't doing super hot on quick sets. I'm not going to tighten that too much. I don't really exactly know what material that pin is made out of. It could be plastic. It's probably steel, but it could be plastic. Let me throw a tension bar in here and cycle it. Yeah, it's cool. You can cut a whole bunch of different kinds of keys without ever needing tools. Once it's calibrated, calibrating this thing is just a bitch, though. So I feel like that was probably too deep. It's sticking too far inside. And the reason I think that is because I can't actually, now that it's tight and there's no, the little set screw's tight and there's no more wiggle in there, I can't actually put that little bar on. So let me loosen this guy up a couple notches. Push it down. And I pushed that thing down like, I don't know, 3-4 millimeters, not much. It's about 1/8 of an inch. again, there's no point in measuring when you're guessing. There it is. So it did pop in. I didn't like it too much, but I don't think it's under any stress. I think it's just trying to fit a very small pin into a very small hole and you're blind doing it. That's where most of the difficulty comes from. That's the thing with all this locksmith shit, is a lot of it's just like real tiny finicky shit. Like the tools, the parts, you're just working one-handed in the dark. So it works perfect now. I can't see it skipping. Go full range. When I hear on the engagement, it's not good to run this thing without that little top cover plate, because that kind of retains everything. And I'll run it through. Nice engagement, but you see how that top plate would retain everything because it really wants to just like pull out a little bit. And this is the ejection cycle. It's ejected. Oh, didn't realize this video was gonna turn into that, but fun stuff. This is the kind of shit you gotta deal with on the field too, like your ship break-in, or you like don't have the right tool for something. So you just gotta like figure it out and make it happen, and make it happen quick. You know, you never know where it's gonna bring you, and you really gotta be creative. It's kind of like an art in and of itself, in the sense of you just gotta have a lot of creativity for it, which is fun. I can't say I'm very creative, but like, you know, I try to think of things and do the best I can, and it gets to a certain point where something's like really broken. It's a really fine line to draw. You just gotta like know the line to draw and just like go, you know what? We need to replace this. Like right here, this I can fix. Nothing is truly broken, nothing is snapped. But sometimes I don't know like the line, and I'll be like fascinated by it. Like something's broken, I'll still try to make it work. Even if like something's like broken, I still like want to make it work, when I should just be going and talking to the customer, going like, this thing's broken and there's nothing we can do, and you know, it's outside of our scope of work, or we can order your parts. But instead I just keep on pushing and trying, because it's like a passion of mine. Like fixing things is a hobby, and I never want to admit defeat. It's like a pride thing. I gotta let go of it, of course. Kind of let go of some of that ego involved. But I'm not quite there yet. I'll let go when I'm ready. In those experiences, I learn like a shitload as well. So it's not even like necessarily for the customer's sake and trying to save them money. It's more just like you know, I find it fascinating. I want to fuck with it, and whether I'm going to get it fixed or not, you know, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to leave it in any worse condition than it already was. You know. So really, it's just like trying to satiate my own curiosity and just keep on like pushing things a little farther. It's not good, and it's not really a desirable attribute, but I do enjoy doing it. It's like a guilty pleasure. Well, we picked a lock. I showed you how pin tumblers worked. Devolved into fixing my key machine. So there's that. And I'm glad we can do that. I'm glad that something like broke while the camera was rolling and I was able to kind of figure it out. Eventually, it's going to come to a point where I'm going to run into locks that like I can't pick, and we're going to have failures, or this thing falls to pieces into a million pieces like fucking Three Stooges style on my hands, and I can't put it back together. And I'm kind of dreading. Of course, I really don't want this to break because this makes me a lot of money, and you can't get parts for it. But yeah, hopefully I get some more stressful situations coming out of this, and things that I haven't seen before, things I'm not sure of. I'm not like 100% sure of, or that I have a hard time figuring out with logic. But I guess that's gonna do it for tonight. It's like super fucking late, so I don't know. It's probably about 11 or 12. So I'll see you. I guess.